In today's gospel reading, we hear the story of Jesus at the end of a difficult day. He's been preaching and teaching, and the crowds are growing, has decided to go out on the sea in a boat with his disciples. And it's not just one boat, there are a couple of other boats out there with him. And they set off in the evening, and suddenly a storm comes up. It's huge. The waves are high to the point where the sailors in the boat with him feel as though the ship is going to sink. And it's an interesting story because most of the sailors who've been with him would have thought, this is a really strange time for us to be taking a fun trip across the lake. In evening time, the winds pick up. It gets dangerous. Morning is the best time for those kind of journeys. The sea is calm, you don't have as much worry to worry about, but evening, it's tricky. So the sea picks up and the waves get to be huge, and the disciples get scared, and they finally get to the point where they're waking up Jesus, and they say, Master, we're in deep trouble here, we're going to sink. And Jesus looks at them and kind of shakes his head and, oh, you of little faith. And Jesus calms the storm. And I wondered how that plays in the rest of their lives. Because we're talking about a group of people that probably never went much more than 20 miles away from the place where they'd lived all their lives. And we know from the end of the story that some of them end up in Rome. One of them is supposed to have gone to Spain. They travel throughout the Mediterranean, these unlearned fishermen. And I wonder if this wasn't a pivotal moment for them, where they look at Jesus and Jesus says, it's okay. I'm always with you. It's okay. Don't worry. I'm here. Don't be afraid. And I wonder if that was a point in which they were set free. Their hearts were opened because they really didn't have to worry anymore. Jesus took something that was a part of nature and calmed it. If Jesus could do that, Jesus could do anything. And as I thought about that, I thought, how do we carry that with us? I know there were times this year where I felt as tied up in knots as those sailors must have thought when the winds picked up. And it's awkward, and it's really hard. And I think that it's easy for us to lose our bearings in those places. It's easy for us to get lost and to forget who we are and whose we are. And I thought, what a wonderful gift to have in the back of your mind. The night when the winds got so big, you thought the boat was going over, and Jesus stepped in. And I wondered if every time they were in a really difficult situation from then on, that night became the point where they flashed back to it, and they could be brave. I'm sure there were times when they were still scared. Who wouldn't be scared? But they could be brave. And I think that's really important for us. What do we take away from this year? Can we take the fact that we could be brave with us? Can we take away that not only were we afraid, but everyone else in the entire world was afraid? And yet somehow here we are, by God's grace. And God has never left us. So I invite you this week to think about these sailors in the sea and what it must have been like for them to watch Jesus calm the waves. And think about where Jesus has calmed the waves in your life. Amen.